Welcome to the Steve Ames Show with guitarist Sandy Renda, pianist Mike Yanuzzi, and my special guest, entertainer Uncle Floyd. And now, on with the show. You ought to be in pictures. You're wonderful to see. You ought to be in pictures. Oh, what a hit you would be. Your voice would thrill a nation. That face would be adored. You'd make a great sensation with wealth and fame, your reward. And if you should kiss the way you kiss when we are all alone, you'd make every girl and man a fan worshipping at your throne. You ought to shine as brightly as Jupiter or Mars. You ought to be in pictures, my star of stars. You ought to be in pictures. You're wonderful to see. You ought to be in pictures. Oh, what a hit you would be. Your voice would thrill a nation. That face would be adored. You'd make a great sensation with wealth and fame, your reward. And if you should kiss the way you kiss when we are all alone, you'd make every girl and man a fan worshipping at your throne. You ought to shine as brightly as Jupiter or Mars. You ought to be in pictures, my star of stars. You ought to be in pictures, written by Dana Seuss and Edward Heyman. And now here are the two picture-perfect musicians at the guitar, Sandy Renda. And at the piano, Mike Yanuzzi. Tonight is a very special occasion. We are celebrating the 25th anniversary of the Steve Ames Show. We went on the air November 1990 on cable television, on what was then Suburban Cablevision and is now Comcast Cablevision. And we've been on the internet since June of 2011. That means that people can see the Steve Ames Show all over the country, from the East Coast to the West Coast, from north to south. So here's a song I'd like to dedicate to our friends from the South, written by Frank Perkins and Mitchell Parrish. We lived our little drama. We kissed in a field of white. Stars fell on Alabama last night. I can't forget the glamour. Your eyes held a tender light. Stars fell on Alabama last night. I never planned in my imagination a situation so heavenly, a fairyland where no one else could enter, and in the center, just you and me, dear. My heart beat like a hammer, my arms wound around you tight. Stars fell on Alabama last night. I never planned in my imagination a situation so heavenly, a fairyland where no one else could enter, but in the center, just you and me, dear. My heart beat like a hammer, my arms wound around you tight. Stars fell on Alabama last night. Sandy Renda,
Nice to see you.
All right,
Mike
Steve.
Ganuzzi, thank you both for helping me celebrate the 25th anniversary of the Steve Ames Show. And I want the audience to know that both Sandy and Mike have been with me for 16 of those 25 years. Let's hear it for Sandy and Mike. That's right. And Sandy, what does the Steve Ames Show mean to you?
Well, Steve, I'm sure you know that I was the second guest on the show.
That is correct.
After that funny Uncle Floyd. He's great.
That's right.
He's great.
In 1990.
1990, oh boy. That's when I was able to climb the stairs.
Right. That's absolutely right.
Well, I always enjoyed the show, and I'll tell you why. Because you're very into the show. Our cameraman, Jerry, is very into the show. Our sidekick here, Mike, is very into the show, and I am.
Very good.
We all want to make sure the show is right, and there are a lot of behind-the-scenes things that people don't see but are very important. So I enjoy it personally, and I enjoy it musically, not necessarily in that order.
Well, we all enjoy you musically.
Thank you.
And Mike, what does the Steve Ames Show mean to you?
Oh, just 16 years of incredible pleasure being able to come here and you know, play a lot of old music and talk about a lot of old things and see a lot of old people. No, I'm sorry. No, we have such a great time all the time.
Well, I'm so happy you said that, Mike. And I also want to mention the very first pianist and musical director on our show was Yolanda Peter Paul. And then came the maestro, Marvin Lewis. And after that, we had the joyful one, Joy Kay. And then we had the very talented Sharman Howe. And then finally we had Andy Wallace-Sinovich, the music man. And they were all pianists, and I want Sandy to know that you're the only guitar player in the bunch.
Except for Santoro, wasn't
Well,
Santoro?
Tony
He
Santoro
didn't
was
do the
never a
show.
musical director. He
Oh,
was a
okay.
guest.
All
But
right.
you were the only guitarist in the bunch. And I would also like to mention that our cameraman, producer, and director, Jerry Schoenthal, has been with me for the entire 25 years. So let's hear it for Jerry. He's a very special man. We couldn't do it without him. I would also like to mention the man who designed our website, www.steveamesshow.com. His name is Bill Morades. And as I mentioned before, since 2011, all the Steve Ames Show episodes end up on the website. And also, I would like to mention that we've probably had maybe 200 or 300 listed with all the episodes from 1990 to 2011, listing all of our guests. How's that? Well, Sandy, what's the big number for tonight?
Do a pretty song, Roberta Flack. That's the right name, correct? Roberta Flack. It's a beautiful Latin ballad rock that was done probably in the 80s or 90s, somewhere in that
70s.
The 70s. Wow, going back that far. But the kind of music and the kind of song it is, it's forever. It's a tune entitled, we're going to do it instrumentally in that genre, Killing Me Softly.
Let's hear it for Sandy and Mike. On the first episode of the Steve Ames Show in 1990, this was the cast. Yours truly as singer and host, Yolanda Peterpaul as pianist and musical director, Walt Gollander as talent coordinator, and Jerry Schoenthal as producer and director. Our very first guest on our very first episode was Uncle Floyd, and he's back tonight to help us celebrate our 25th anniversary. So now, without any further ado, take it away, Uncle Floyd!
Thank you, thank you, thank you. A little more, please, a little more. A little more, please. A little more applause, a little more. That's it, thank you, folks. Thank you. Keep going, keep it going, keep it going. I gotta kill 5 minutes. If you became a bird and flew up in the blue, then I'd become a super jet and take off after you. 'Cause you will never get away, 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 never get away from me. If you became a rabbit and flinged across the plain, then I'd become a hunting dog and chase after you again. 1, 2. 'Cause you will never get away, 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 never get away from me. If you became a monkey and climbed out on a tree, then I'd become a little branch and let you jump on me. I wrote that. 'Cause you will never get away, never get away, never get away, never get away. The name of this song is You'll Never Get Away. 'Cause you will never get away, 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 never get away from me. Here we go. If you became a picture on someone else's wall, then I'd become a picture frame and hold you after all. 'Cause you will never get away, 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 never get away from me. If you became a rose in some secluded spot, then I'd become a summer rain and kiss you when it's hot. 1, 2, 3. 'Cause you will, all together now, never get away, 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 never get. I'll give you an easier one. If you became a ball and gaily bounced away, then I'd become a little boy and play with you all day. 'Cause you will never get away, 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 never get away from me. You'll never, never get away from me. Very nice. This was Marilyn Monroe's favorite song. It's been well documented. I'm not just making that up. Listen to me, honey dear. Something's wrong with you, I fear. Like a lot of people I know, this is what I hear. After you get what you want, you don't want it. If I gave you the moon, you'd grow tired of it soon. You're like a baby. You want what you want when you want it. But after you are presented with what you want, you're discontented. You're always wishing and wanting for something. When you get what you want, you don't want what you've got. And though you sit upon my knee, I know that you'll grow tired of me. 'Cause after you get get what you want, you don't want what you've got after all. Introduced by Van and Skank many, many years before Marilyn Monroe heard it. And though you sit upon my knee, I know that you'll grow tired of me, 'cause after you get what you want, you don't want what you've got after all. Song goes way, way back to about 1918 originally. Yeah, gotta get a nice song now, a little closing song. I ain't got nobody, but I got a little kumada up the street. Steve, you know what I'm talking about? If a married man, Italian guy, has a girlfriend on the side, they call it a kumada. I don't have one, but years ago I did. She had an apartment on the 3rd floor, and one afternoon I was over there visiting, and all of a sudden she says, "Oh, do you sell vacuum cleaners?" I says, "I never sold a vacuum cleaner in my life." She said, "You better start. My husband's coming up the steps." I don't want to go home. I don't want to go home. We're having too much fun. I don't want to go home. I don't want to go home. The party's just begun. Send the waitresses home. Send the bartenders home. Save me just one. I don't want to go home. I don't want to go home. That's a terrible closing song. How about a Durante song to close? Chitty, 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 chitty. That's the way I like it. Yeah, yeah. Chitty, 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 chitty. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just sing this little song when things go wrong. Sing it every night and all day long. Chitty, 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 chitty. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There we go. Sing it every night and all day long. Sing it all the time, even when things go wrong. Chitty, 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 chitty. Crosby gave me that note, and boy, was he glad to get rid of it. Yeah, 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 yes, sir. Yeah, 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 yeah. Thank you very much, folks. Thank you, Steve.
Floyd!
Steve, first of all, I have to congratulate you on 25 years. 25 years of doing your show. It's incredible in this day and age.
And you were my very first guest 25 years ago.
And look how far I went.
Yes.
I'm still with you.
And you gave me some great advice
Did I?
25 years ago. You said, "Steve, your show is traditional show business." That's
Yeah.
what you said. And I followed that theme all through the 25 years, traditional show business. So thank you again.
Well, no, listen, I always love to be on your show. I get a lot of reaction from people who see it. And I made 27 years. I went on TV, Uncle Floyd show from 1974 to 2001. It was in its 27th year.
That's great.
So you're going to topple that.
I used to watch your show and I loved it.
Yeah, well, but 25 years. How do you stay interested in it that long? I mean, a lot of guys give up. Very few shows make it to 25.
Because I love the music so much, and I love presenting new talent, and I'm in love with show business. Like George Burns was in love with it, and Bob Hope. You don't want to retire. You just keep on going.
That's all we know.
That's right. And you're the same way, too.
Oh, that's it.
Now, Floyd, on previous visits to my show, we talked about your career in television. We talked about your career in the movies. And we even talked about your career in burlesque. But tonight, I'd like to talk about your career in radio.
It's been quite varied. Of course, my first language is Italian, and I had an Italian show for 27 years in New York. Ed ora incominciamo I programmi italo-americani qui fino alle 5 di questo pomeriggio. Buon ascolto e buon divertimento. Benvenuti a tutti. And we did an Italian show. I did an Italian show, ironically, for 27 years. The Italian shows were knocked off the air finally in April of 2013. So we just, it was a vanishing kind of a art form, audience too. And I started a thing called, at that time, Uncle Floyd's Garage Sale Music, because I'm a crazy record collector, as you know. I've got 1 million, now a little less than 1 million. I've got to prune my collection. And I play all oddball, funny things. Ben, you're one of you get a great reaction. I know
play
people,
my CDs.
I play your CDs. It's right up our alley. We don't play Sinatra. Not that there's anything wrong. Or Perry Como. We play Spike Jones, the Who's Your Hot Shots, the Vaudeville Stars. You
play Jimmy Durante?
Oh, I love Jimmy Durante, but even the Three Stooges, Ed Wynn, Eddie Cantor.
So you play comedy records as well as music?
Oh, yeah. A lot of Smith and Dale.
I loved Smith and Dale. I knew Joe
best.
Smith.
Yeah.
He was my friend.
Oh, they were dear men, truly giants.
So tell us the dates that you're on and the stations.
The station in New Jersey, I'm on WFDU, which is 89. I can do that?
Yes, of course.
89.1 FM. It comes out of Fairleigh Dickinson University in Teaneck, New Jersey. Monday morning, 6 to 9 a.m. But it's also archived on the internet. You can get 6 hours of my shows anytime, WFDU.FM. I'm on 3 other stations,
okay,
too.
Well, give them all out.
Well, I'm on WVOX in New Rochelle, New York, 1460 on the AM dial every Saturday afternoon, 2 to 5 p.m. There's UncleFloydRadio.com, which is 24/7. And then there's the New Jersey HomegrownRadio.com. I'm on that network, too, on midnights, on Wednesday, and Friday mornings.
So you're very busy with radio. How many hours of radio are you doing per week?
I only produce about 6 to 9 hours a week. That's all. And we of fresh programming.
Right, and you produce these at the different studios, the different radio studios.
Yeah, I use one studio and I bike them out. We send them out.
Good.
And I was on Sirius for 5 years, as you know. I was on New Jersey 101.5 with a talk show for 5 years. I got fired from that. Being from New Jersey, it's only natural you get fired. It happens. But I had a nice 5 years with them.
That was nationwide?
No, that was a big station in New Jersey.
I heard of it, yes.
But Sirius was all over the world. I was there for 5 years.
Right.
With the Sopranos radio show, but I wasn't a soprano on TV. But Steve Van Zandt, who produced it, from Bruce Springsteen. I don't think you're into.
I've heard the name.
You've heard, I know, and I say this respectfully and with love because we're traditionalists.
Yeah.
The things we like. Come
we
on.
go back to the
Eddie
Al
Cantor.
Jolson and Eddie Cantor days.
Jessel, my
and
favorite.
Georgie Jessel,
my
right.
favorite. But I did a show with them, and I interviewed from Phyllis Stiller, who told me I made the biggest mistake you could make in show business. She said, you spent your career confusing an audience. You should have never played the piano in front of them. That's a boo-boo. You're a comic. She played concert piano. I don't know how many people knew that.
Yes, she did.
Concert pianist, but she never let the public see that side of her because she felt the public couldn't handle that. If they see you, they see right away, he's a comic. Doesn't matter what you say.
But Jimmy Durante was a great comedian, and he played the piano. And
yeah,
Victor Borga.
He was a personality. Victor Borga was the best at what he did. Nobody could top him. Nobody. You ever see his TV shows?
Oh, all of them. I've seen them all.
They're great.
They really are. They really are.
But I did a variety. On television, I figured it would be a good spot to use the piano.
I love the way you play the piano. Real ragtime.
I wanted to be a trumpet player. Of course, my father was a trumpet player, and my brothers play, and we were musical people. My family had the Plaza Ballroom in Patterson, the big dance hall. Of the 13 men in the orchestra, 8 had the last name Vivino.
That's
and the
right.
other guys were cousins on my mother's side and my father. My mother's father produced the Italian shows in Patterson at Lazara's Music Hall and went on the road with Vincent Gardenia's father.
Oh, yes.
Don Emilio Cardegna, all those Italian shows from another world. But my mother was an Italian actress in the little Italian theater. Like my father played trumpet. We're all show people.
That's great. Well, Floyd.
That's what we are.
Let's do some duets.
Oh, you ready?
I'm ready.
Because somebody stole my gal. Somebody stole my pal. Somebody came and they took her away. She didn't even say she was leaving. The kisses I love so, he's getting now, I know. If she'd come back to me, she would see, and how she'd see her lonesome-hearted old broken-down piano-playing pal with Steve Ames. Somebody, you like that part? Should I say your name longer?
No, that's
with
all right.
Steve Ames. That better?
All right.
Somebody, all righty. Somebody stole my gal.
And let's close off with Al Jolson's hit Tootsie. Let's go. Tootsie, goodbye. Tootsie, don't cry. The choo-choo train that takes me away from you. You don't know just how sad it makes me. Kiss me, Tootsie, and then do it over again. Watch for the mail, I'll never fail. If you don't get that letter, then you'll know I'm in jail. Tootsie, don't cry. Tootsie, goodbye.
Oh, we did it. We're ready for Carnegie Hall.
Thank you, Floyd.
Thank you, Steve. Always a pleasure.
Thanks a million thanks to you for everything that you could bring. You brought me. For every melody I've sung tonight, just singing for you has been my delight. And so I'm saying thanks a million, for I remember too. We've had a ball, but now that's all. Our show is through. You've made a million dreams come true, and so I'm saying thanks a million to